It's a good point. Very good. Then I guess it's hard math wise. We don't love the blame on the grant. It's half the state. Yeah, we did state Jefferson. You know, man our own money, pay our own thing. Obviously regulate our own money better than anybody else. You know, so I guess like you said, we really how it is really good.
Okay. So you'll fill out basically the position.
New ways to add staff, stuff like that. Then they start grabbing to try to build their department. Well, then still have the money. It's not a problem, because the point where people want to find that. That's some government. Those people that got a program. No, that's not. Trust me, you got it.
Yeah, and I don't know, support to solve it. Yeah.
Yeah, not Band-Aids. I'm not interested in.
No, that's it, that's what we keep getting. I've been saying this for years now. Yeah.
And as long as.
What is, in fact, that's why you go back to.
Society. Yeah.
As creative as I am. And there's a really good bad. Before you get your own. It's all.
57 too.
Yeah, so there is number one, is there any power? But this is a huge step, so I'm hoping that.
Not that I'm aware, but let me know.
Right down there.
I don't see any of that. I know that sometimes you get it like right here.
Calls I got were legit. It's getting on a Band-Aid, like, yeah, it's still.
Yeah. Then I left it. It disappeared. I don't want to go across there.
Yes.
I was the first one. Expert witness that I had on that day.
Yeah, there's no.
Yeah.
Can you reach over there?
I don't think you didn't know that was gonna be that big of a task, did you?
Just leave the door open. I think there was someone here to take care of that.
Yeah.
You gotta get float me out. Yeah. Mine's getting low too.
Great. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Waco City Council meeting for Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Just want to remind everybody to silence their cell phones. for us. And then also we had a closed session and we have no reportable action from that meeting this evening. Okay, so we have special presentations and our announcement. This time slot is for informational presentations, appointments, and awards to be presented by the city council or to the city council. Mr. Ledbetter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Wairika City Council. So we were planning on bringing you Pacific Power, especially after we had kind of the shut off in a certain portion of the city in the last week. Unfortunately, Miss Drinkwater has rescheduled with us, so she will be at a later meeting. But I wanted to take this opportunity to just kind of talk about somebody very special here that is retiring and kind of talk about, I've been here almost 30 months and how lucky I was to come here with this team that was already kind of picked and chosen. And a lot of that had to do with Retta Hogan being here already and being involved in the process to bring a number of new department heads on after a great retirement. But it's a rarity to have somebody like Retta in our community. And having worked at another agency here in town, I can tell you, in my personal opinion, just the brightest financial, most intelligent person within Siskiyou County, hands down. I mean, what she's done here, what she's been doing with the staff and kind of helping us move in the direction that we're currently moving. We're very lucky. The city was very lucky to have had her for the time period that it did have her. And so she really was kind of instrumental behind Measure C, critical in the debt servicing of the Wairika Police Department's new facility, really responsible. We had 2 council members on a meeting earlier this week with bond counsel as we looked at kind of pension debt liability and having a pension strategy. That all started with Miss Hogan, and she kind of directed us down that path and has set up a trust so that we are moving in the right direction to make sure that we cover our pension liability debt. Just extremely clever and understanding of the budget, investment, interest, financing, and project management in order to maximize funding to make projects really materialize from nowhere, in my opinion. And then obviously extremely instrumental when Caltrans came through and wanted to do this project, debt servicing, I believe, on the sewer because we could not get the grant funding for it to make that project happen. Has set the city up just in my time frame with the fees, the 218 water and wastewater rates. I know those are difficult topics to go over, but ultimately you can see other communities in Siskiyou County that have not done that, and you can see the failure that leads for those communities. So really setting us up to be eligible for more state revolving fund grant dollars. Instrumental in transitioning really the Greenhorn Reservoir, talking to the Public Works Director, Matt, and kind of discussing this ability to move Greenhorn back into water in order to go get ourselves state revolving fund money to turn this into the emergency filter location that we really need, quite frankly, for the city. Just tenacious, intelligent, but also very caring, and really had a desire to improve the community because she lives in this community. And so without further ado, I just want to thank Retta Hogan for everything that she has done here in the 20 years that she's been here, but really for me in the 30 months that I've been here, it has made my transition very, very easy, and I'm very appreciative and will always be appreciative. So thank you very much, Miss Hogan.
Thank you, Mayor. Oh.
And if you don't mind, if we can end with maybe in front of the seal here, a photo with all of you and.
Lovely, Phil. Hey, Phil.
I can stand next to you.
All right, I've taken about 50 shots already.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Fall down.
I have to go back to my outfit. I started the series, so.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Retta. Thank you for everything you've done for the city of Wairika. We appreciate it. Good job. She will be missed, but I think she has left us and guided everybody in good hands for the future. And yeah, we definitely appreciate her and we'll miss her, but I know she's ready to go do some fun things and spend time with her horse and do other things fun in life. So, okay. Okay, we'll go to item number 6. This is public comment. Public participation is welcome and invited to all city council meetings. This time is set aside for residents to address the city council on matters listed on the consent agenda as well as other items not included on the regular agenda. If your comments concern an item noted on the regular agenda, please address the city council when that item is open for public comment. The city requests the persons addressing the city council refrain from making personal, slanderous, profane, or disruptive remarks. Council members recognized by the mayor may ask clarifying questions of the presenter, but no action may be taken by the city council during the public comment section of the meeting. Under the Brown Act, the city council is prohibited from discussing or taking action on any item not listed on the posted agenda. This time is set aside for residents to address the city council on matters listed on the consent agenda as well as other items not included on the agenda. If your comments concern an item listed under the public hearing or new business sections of the agenda, please address the council when that item is open for public comment. Please speak into the microphone from the podium. Electronically adjust up and down to accommodate the speaker. Please state your name for the record prior to providing your comments. Please address the council as a whole. If you have documents to present, please provide a minimum of 7 copies. These become a public record. Please limit your remarks to 5 minutes. Since the council is unable to take action on issues not on the agenda, your matter may be referred to staff for follow-up or placed on a future agenda. The public comment period is not intended to be a question and answer period or conversations with council or city staff. Do you have any public comment at this time?
Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, just before we get to the first public comment, just because this is public comment on consent as well, there is a statement that I would like to read for everybody here.
Okay.
So we have a modification necessary on item 7H. There's a typographic error was noted after posting the agenda.
7H. Okay.
This should be the CEQA documentation. The second preamble statement says 2032. When in fact that should state that the extension is running through 2042. So there's no need to pull the item. And this can stay on consent for vote, but I just wanted to make that statement before we take public comment on consent. Thank you.
Okay, great. And Ms. Clerk, did you note that change with that typo? Okay, thank you. All right. Now, public comment.
Don Mariachi, and I was out and about this weekend and at the Gold Rush Days, no matter what they call it, it'll always be Gold Rush Days to me. And the public bathrooms down in the pavilion, which we got a grant for, not open. And you know, Liberty Arts was just an afterthought of that grant. And I don't know at what point our obligation to the grant runs out, but that public bathroom hasn't been open for years. It's supposed to be open for tourists. It's never opened, and I am not happy about it at all. And neither is anyone else. And I understand that we first started closing it because the homeless congregated there. But we also upped our police force. And it seems to me like we upped our police force for more, crews in the streets and whatnot. Because trust me, I get it. I almost got carjacked right there at that very spot, Broadway and Minor. I get it. But that doesn't mean that you can close a public bathroom that we got a grant to add to our city. So, and that's up to you guys to be taking care of this. And it's up to you to pay attention to what's going on in your city. Thank you. Get there.
Any other public comment at this time? Okay, no other public comment. We'll move on to item number 7. This is the consent agenda. All that matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and non-controversial and will be enacted by one motion unless one member of the council wishes to remove an item for discussion. G for discussion. We have a request from Councilman Davis to G for discussion. That is the appointment of Emily Aldrich to the position of city treasurer. So he would like G to be moved for discussion. Okay. Okay. So consent agenda, this will be for item A, approval ratification of payments issued from May 26, 2024 through June 8th, 2024. B, cash balances budget to actual fiscal performance reports for May 31st, 2024. C, approval of minutes for the special meeting held May 30th, 2024. D, approval of minutes of the regular meeting held June 4th, 2024. E, approval of minutes for the special meeting held June 11th, 2024. F, adoption of resolution 2024-30 of the city council, city of Wairika approving and adopting an updated comprehensive pay schedule for all full-time employees, part-time employees, and elected officials in accordance with CalPERS guidelines. G has been moved for discussion. And then H, adoption of resolution 2024-31, the city council of the Wairika adopting CEQA addendum number 1 for negative declaration of the Fall Creek water permit extension, state clearinghouse number 2012032053.
Mr. Mayor,
Did I miss
I
something?
just want to remind folks that whoever does make the motion, if they can please include the change on item H
Yes.
from the year 2032 to the year 2042.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. What are the wishes of the council?
I'll make the motion. We accept as presented with the change to 2042 instead of 2032.
Have a motion from Councilman Kaeg. And
I'll second the motion.
a second from Councilman McCoy. I'll do roll call. Councilman Kaeg.
Aye.
Councilman Davis.
Aye.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Councilman McCoy.
Aye.
And Mayor Middleton, aye. Okay, and now we'll go to item number G for discussion. This is the appointment of Emily Aldrich to the position of city treasurer. Mr. Davis has asked for a question or comment regarding this item. Mr. Davis? Who's your question for regarding item number G, Mr. Davis?
I think it was Mr. Aldrich.
Ms. Aldrich?
Sorry, John.
I was gonna let you do it, John.
Mrs. Aldrich, would you go over your financial background for us?
In a nutshell, I worked for Ernst & Young for a number of years. I went on to work for a tax firm in Santa Barbara for approximately 10 years after that. I relocated and was the service district financial person for McLeod Service District. I then moved to Human Services. for the county and was their finance director there. I then became the CAO's finance director, did the budgets, helped with budgets with the county. I then became the finance director for the city of Weed and ultimately became the finance director for the city of Wairika. That sounds like a lot of jobs.
You gotta stay on.
Have you worked at any private institutions?
The tax firm I worked for in Santa Barbara is technically a private industry. But you know, I grew up in about 6th grade doing the financials for my parents' business in Grenada.
Ernst & Young is one of the top three, the three largest accounting firms in the world.
That is correct.
Good. I'm good.
So just to clarify for the audience, because I know we'll have to go to public comment, ultimately with the retirement of Retta Hogan, she was the treasurer, so she's also retiring from that position. There will be an election come November, and we're in that time frame that now the council can make an appointment for the treasurer position to run out the rest of this particular term. And then we would anticipate anybody in the community is welcome to attempt to become the elected treasurer. But in the interim, what we're looking to do here this evening is to make Emily Aldrich, the finance director, really within this time frame, the new treasurer, the appointed treasurer, until there is an election in November.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Leber. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Okay. I'll open up for public comment regarding item number G on the consent agenda. This is the appointment of Emily Aldrich to the position of city treasurer for the interim.
Del Mariachi again. How can we make this a choice that the city makes instead of making it put it an election? Because we don't know. We know that she's qualified. We know she's done the job. We trust her. But say someone comes in that we don't know. How do we make that?
I'll have Mr. Jared answer that question, or Mr. Levitt. Mr. Jared, do you want to answer that question? How it does not become, or does it have to be an elected position? Mr. Jared?
Because our city clerk used to be, I mean, it has to be one of them used to have to be elected, and we've changed that.
Yeah. Mr. Jared?
Yeah, I mean, I
Or
think
somebody-
whenever you're done with public comment, we'll chime
Okay.
in, and Mr.
Okay.
Jared certainly can give, he's done a dive into this for us.
All right, thank you.
Lorenzo Lowe. One thing you should think about, Steve Bradford, city treasurer. If it's an elected official, that could happen.
Yeah, I'll just chime in real quick, and let you guys raise some very good points. And so ultimately, before my time here, the city council with the staff decided to put on a prior election, transferring, it had to go out to the people, the vote. So it had to be a 50% plus one. And the question was, should the city of Wairika transfer, basically making the clerk an appointed position rather than an elected position? And the reason for that, among other things, is that the clerk at that point was making $15 a month, I think, or something. So it really did not, it made more sense that it was a paid position, because that's what the person was doing, that job technically while doing a different job. And so that passed. I remember voting on that because I live in this community. And then on the last election, I believe we attempted to do the same thing with the treasurer position, and it barely, it did not pass ultimately. So the city can make a decision to go back out to the community and try to make it an appointed position. But since it failed just last, I believe it was last election, that's why we're doing what we're currently doing. So, but Mr. Jared may have more legal discussion on the topic.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that this is a situation that every city in California faces. And through the life of a city, the city either, as Mr. Ledbetter mentioned, takes it to the vote of the people to have the elected clerk, the elected treasurer become an appointed position and take that direction from the people, or taking the direction from the people when a city forms as a charter city, then in the city charter, the treasurer or and city clerk position is addressed through the city charter. So, but there is still time if you wanted to put it on the November ballot for making this an appointed position.
All right. Thank you. All right. Oh,
And I would like to just add that the timing of Ms. Hogan's resignation just requires the city to make an appointment or to call a special election. And it would make no sense to call a special election at this time for somebody to serve a term through December of 24. So the appointment at this point does make a lot of sense.
right. Good point. All right. Yeah.
Mr. City Manager, this also is not a full-time, this is not a full-time job.
No,
mean-
it's not considered a full-time job. No.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Do you need a motion?
Well, I was making sure, I'll go back to,
You're going to do public comment.
public because we did have the council members speak after I closed that. Any other questions, comments from the public after information was provided from our council members? All right. So now I will close public comment and I will come back to city council for item number, this is 7G, the appointment of Emily Aldridge for the position of city treasurer. What are the wishes of the council?
Mr. Mayor, may I move that we appoint Emily Aldridge to the position of city treasurer?
Yes, I have a motion from Councilman Davis
I'll second the motion.
and a second from Councilman Baker. I'll do roll call. Councilman Kay,
Aye.
Councilman Davis,
I
Councilman Baker,
Yes.
Councilman McCoy,
Aye.
and I'm Mayor Middleton. Motion passes. Great. Congratulations. Next few months. And then. All right.
Thank you, Emily.
Okay, no old business, no public hearing. Moving right on to number 10. This is a new business. This is the municipal projects manager. So the agenda title is resolution adopt California Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting, CUPCCA procedures, introduction, and first reading of an ordinance to provide informal bidding procedures pursuant to CUPCCA and finding such action exempt from CEQA. The city of Wairika has determined adoption of the resolution to be a public benefit from the raised forced amount limit and the informal bidding procedures for public projects and maintenance work as more projects are completed in a timely manner because of the streamlined awards process and the reduction in paperwork related to advertising and report filing. Cindy, good evening.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Cindy Lynch, Municipal Projects Manager. As the mayor said, what's before you tonight is a request to adopt this resolution, electing to adopt the Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Act procedures. And following that, introduce for first reading an ordinance which allows the city to go by the informal bidding process for projects between $60,000 and $200,000. As the mayor said, this is a great benefit to the city in terms of saving time, paperwork, and allowing the city to do more projects in a more timely manner, since we would then adopting this would allow the city to not have to go out to full formal public bid for every public works project over $5,000. Projects under 60,000 could be provided by the city's own workforce and city's own funds, or by a purchase order, or by a contract that's privately looked at. Projects of $200,000 or less would be handled by the informal bidding process, which the ordinance that's also attached to this item would create. The Finance Committee met in April to review the Policies and Procedures Manual. And no departments are exempt from this once we opt in. However, filing the resolution should allow everyone to be on the same page. Sorry, I'm skipping around a bit. The mayor kind of
Sorry.
handled, you did fine. You just handled most of it so that I wasn't quite sure what more needed to be handled. I know that it was already discussed in Finance Committee. The city, as a result of this, would have to notice and maintain a list of qualified contractors and provide notice to solicit bids on projects in a slightly different way for the informal bidding process, but it would still be a vast benefit to the city. There's no real environmental issues with this project, as it's not a project under the definitions of CEQA. And there's no environmental analysis required for it. And there is no fiscal impact involved in opting into the CUPCA process using the resolution. You just have to opt in using the resolution, have an ordinance, have 2 readings of the ordinance, and then we would be registered with the state. I think that's everything, obviously.
Great. Okay. Council members, do you have any questions? Councilman McCoy?
Yeah, no, this is something we've talked about at Finance Committee. It's something that streamlines. And for those that don't know, whenever a school or any public entity, a city, a county wants to do a job, I know when I was with Wairika Union Elementary for 23 years, we had to go through the bid process, and everything has to be done over, I think it was in schools, I think it was over 5,000 as well. We had to go through the bid process. It has to be prevailing wage. So when you have somebody in Wairika that can do it for 20 an hour, that's okay. You're still going to pay 60 an hour to a union member, whether they're from here or whether they're coming out of Reading or Sacramento or whatever. So this gives more flexibility, in my opinion, to Public Works to do certain jobs that they feel that they are qualified to do and have the skill set to do. It also gives them gives us the ability to not have to pay through the nose, because again, where government is concerned, anybody that works for government, takes a job for government, they know that they've cut a fat hog. So I would support it. And so does the committee.
Thank you, Councilman McCoy. Anybody else? Okay. Open up to public comment. Right. No public comment. I'll go back to City Council and the wishes of the City Council for item 10A and the recommend City Council action items 1, 2, and 3. Yes. Mr. Jared, I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, as with any ordinance, this is a first introduction
Yep.
and first reading. As with any ordinance, at your next regularly scheduled meeting, it would then be brought back for second reading. So next council meeting, this would come back to you for final adoption. Your city code requires that the ordinance be read in full unless after reading of the title, there is affirmation by the city council to simply go with the reading of the title. So we'll need that as part of the process as well.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jared. All right. What are the wishes of the council? Oh,
Go for it.
I know one of you. I caught my eye. Councilman Cake.
So moved.
Okay. I have a motion to adopt from Councilman Kaeg and a second from Councilman McCoy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The roll call. Councilman Kaeg,
Aye.
Councilman Davis,
Aye.
Councilman Baker,
Yes.
Councilman McCoy,
Aye.
and I am Mayor Middleton. All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if you don't mind, we have a gentleman that's double booked this evening from the Elks that will be here at 7:30. And his item, if we can move item 10B to the very end of this meeting, and then that would mean we would be on item 10C.
Okay. So we will go to item 10. You said C?
Yes, 10C.
10C. This is the agenda title request for fee waivers for permissive business license and use of the city stage for the special event known as National Night Out. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. This is Alia Roca Lezra, the planning manager. I have two events to present to you tonight. The first one is regarding the National Night Out, which is proposed by Jess Harris, who we have here tonight. Jess Harris has requested fee waivers for a permissive business license and use of the city stage for the special event known as the National Night Out. The proposed date for the event is Tuesday, August 6th, 2024, and the proposed location is downtown Minor Street. To provide a summary of the event, according to the National Night Out website, National Night Out is a community policing awareness raising event in the United States held the first Tuesday of August. The Wairika National Night Out event proposal includes canine demonstrations, vendors, kids activities, and live music. The fiscal impact, the event sponsor requests that the city council waive the following fees: the permissive business license of $25, and the 250 deposit plus the $200 daily use fee for the use of the city stage for the event for the live music. Just to remind you, the requested action is not to approve the event itself, but to make a determination regarding whether you would like to waive these two fees. So there's no recommendation tonight, but the possible action is a motion to direct the city manager to waive the fees for a permissive business license and the use of the city stage for the special event known as National Night Out. And Jess, do you want to come up and speak a bit about the event?
I'm Jess Harris. I'm the Northern California Programs Representative for California Rifle and Pistol Association, which is the kind of the umbrella for our local Siskiyou County gun owners, which, as you guys know, we put this on last year. Last year was very successful. I would say we had a little over 500 people just in that little 4 or 5 hour window. And for a first annual event, I think that's pretty good for Wairika. Yeah, I mean, we paid the encroachment fee. Obviously, the city needs, some at least out of every event if they can get it. But this is also a community event. We're not charging any vendor fees, so we're not looking to make money on this event. This event is purely about our local law enforcement and the interaction with the community and being able to bring them together in a positive light. So that's why we're requesting these fee waivers. And I feel it's going to be a successful event this year and into the future as well. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Thank you, Jess. Any questions from City Council for Mr. Harris? Mr. Davis? Councilman Davis?
Jess, I'm sorry. I know you're headed for the chair.
That's all right.
What is your time frame on that?
From 4 to 8.
4 to 8?
Yeah.
And where exactly did you say you wanted it?
The pre-engineered minor street closure that's used for like Gold Rush days and everything else.
I'm sorry, say that again.
The typical pre-engineered closure for all the events that happen on like Minor Street, Broadway, was that Center Street right there? That's your guys' typical closure. I don't have the little map with me on that, but it'd be, yeah, easier to look at than to describe. And we'll use the full closure because in order to incorporate, more of a quiet, away from the craziness atmosphere for the canine demonstrations. Like last year, we had it over on Center Streets, away from the loud music and the kids playing and all that. So I feel like that was a safer environment.
So you're going to have vendors, did I hear?
Correct.
I think I have a copy. Okay.
That's it. That answers my question. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Davis. Any other questions from council members? No?
Is it specifically for Mr. Harris or is
For Mr. Harris at this time, and then we'll go to public comment. Or do you have a question for staff?
question for staff?
Okay. So no questions for. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a question? Sorry, for Mr. Harris or no?
Did you, Mr. Harris, did you consider Minor Street Park as a location?
We hadn't previously, but that's going to be probably an idea for next year. After talking with Corey recently and kind of seeing that that's going to be a viable location moving forward, that's something that we'll probably look forward to. This year, we kind of have everything already kind of planned and ready to roll. Because we're like Bella Artworks, Talia is running all of our kids' activities and stuff. So right now we're kind of set where we're at. But yeah, next year, very, very possible location for us.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah, I had a conversation with Jess because, like I said, full disclosure, we do share a relative and we go way back. So known a long time, and we were talking about when he was talking about the canine and just different things. I said we're hopefully have more events at the park because of some of these events. They'd be perfect for our park, and Jess was in agreement that. He said, well, I never thought of that. He said it's a big space, and he said he would consider that for next year. So yeah, so that's the discussion we had, and he was open to it. So because it's a beautiful park, big space for them to utilize. So okay, public comment. All right. No public comment. Okay. I'll go back to City Council. What are the wishes of the council? Sorry, I lost my space. That Mr. Cake.
I'll make the motion to direct city manager to waive fees for the permissive business license and the use of the city stage for the special event known as the National Night Out.
All right. I have a motion from Councilman Cake. I will second the motion. I'll go for roll call. Councilman Cake.
Aye.
Councilman Davis.
Aye.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Councilman McCoy.
Aye.
Mayor Middleton, the motion passes. All right. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, we did have our Elks member, Mr. Favreau is in attendance. So if you don't mind, if we can go back to item 10B at this time.
Okay, 10B. All right. This is our planning manager again for the agenda title request for fee waivers for an encroachment permit, principal business license, and the city stage, the special event known as the Wairika Holiday Parade.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. This is Alia Roca Lezra, the planning manager again. So Brian Favreau, the event sponsor, on behalf of the Wairika Elks Lodge, has submitted a letter of request attached as attachment A for a $7,500 stipend to manage the Wairika Holiday Parade this year. The parade will take place Saturday, November 30th, and the event sponsor, Mr. Favreau, requests fee waivers for an encroachment permit, permissive business license, and the city stage in conjunction with the event, in addition to the $7,500 stipend. So the fiscal impact includes the waiver of the listed fees, the encroachment permit, which is $100, the permissive business license, which is $25, and the city stage, a $250 deposit plus $250 daily fee. And not listed here is that $7,500 stipend request for the management of the event. There's no recommendation at this time. The possible action is a motion to direct the city manager to waive the fees for an encroachment permit, permissive business license, and use of the city stage for the special event known as the Wairika Holiday Parade. And I would also ask you to include in that action a direction on whether to commit a $7,500 stipend for the event or not. Unfortunately, it didn't make it into the action. And Mr. Favreau, would you please come up and speak about the event?
Ollie, I'm sorry. Can you repeat? I think before you.
Did you give a term of $2,500? Did you say?
$7,500.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Right.
Well, good evening, council members, mayor, manager, everybody. My name is Brian Favreau, and I've been a member of the Elks for about 15 years now. And I have been the lucky man to draw the short straw for the last 2 years to put on your holiday parade with us as the sponsor. And I have agreed to take it on again this year as the honcho of it with hopefully someone I can train to relieve me eventually by the name of Mike Walters. Mike is in Lake Juanita right now with his grandkids. Otherwise, he'd be up here asking for the money as well. I wanted you to get to know him a little better. At any rate, this is the same exact amount of money that we asked for last year. And I'm hoping that you were pleased with the parade that we had last year. I got nothing but good positive feedback from it. And last year I did my best to try to let you all know how we go about spending that money. And this year it's going to be even more expensive because of inflation, as we all know. We really don't like to cut back on some of the expenses, such as the trophies that we give out and that sort of thing, to try to pinch pennies and maybe put a little bit more money back into our lodge general fund. We feel like it's very important to give you all a very good, high quality parade. And hopefully I'll be able to find a Drummel Bugle Corps one of these years. I swear there hasn't been one that I could find from Sacramento clear up to Portland. They're just have all dissolved, I guess, from COVID. I can't really say what, but I'm respectfully asking for that stipend, if I could, please. I have no idea what other city councils have to approve in terms of having volunteer organizations of this nature put on a quality parade. But I assure you, every penny that we are asking for is well spent, and whatever is left over is going to a very good cause to plow back into our community by way of charitable giving. As a matter of fact, the Elks organization here in Wairika, while we've been in business, has plowed back almost $1.4 million to charitable giving to basically our community. So anyway, if you have any questions, I'm up here to answer them the best I can.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Favreau. City council members, questions?
So,
Council,
Brian,
Councilman McCoy?
thank you very much. It was a great parade. I'm trying to, how much actually, do you have a budget or anything for the parade for this year or for last year?
Last year, we spent almost $2,000, and I'm thinking it's going to be probably 10% more than that this year. I just say 2,200.
Do you have a written budget though for the parade from last year?
I'm sorry, say again.
Do you have a written budget from last year or for this year for the parade that you're looking at?
I've got a complete background and breakdown of the last two parades that we've done, but that's a working document that we use to build whatever we're going to spend this year.
And did you have leftover money out of the 7,500?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay.
We
And
don't spend 7,500.
how much was left over?
About, I'd say 5,200.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've talked about on finance committee is needing to see when we're making a donation like this, within like 60 or 90 days has been a breakdown of the expenditures, because most cities do ask for that when they're donating money like that. I know that Councilwoman Baker has been in when we've sat in on. So I don't know how you all feel about that as councilmen and councilwomen. It's just something so we can be accountable also to our constituents. And again, I don't know how the city manager feels about that. But for me, I would think we should see that anytime. I know we did some in kind tonight, and that's a little different. But one of the things that our committee is dealing with is how to not say to one person, you can have the in kind or the money, and to another person, you can't have the in kind or the money. We need to have the same rules for every situation like this that we deal with, and we're dealing with this a lot. And this isn't aimed at Jess or Brian, but it is, Miss Baker and I have talked about it. We spend an awful lot of time as a council dealing with these things when these decisions should be able to be made in that office over there. So, that's what I want to say before you go on for public comment or vote.
Great. Thank you, Councilman McCoy. Yeah, and I think that presses a broader discussion for the finance committee and to give direction to Mr. Ledbetter at another time. So we can, when we come back and, whoever's sitting here, the three of you will be sitting here for sure in 2025, what the direction is moving forward with having documents associated with an applicant requesting money or, what the policies is moving forward. So that would be my comment on that. So we could have a firm direction for Mr. Ledbetter and for our applicants moving forward that what they need to provide before we get our packets and recommendation from the staff, whether they met the requirement and they filled out the application properly. So so that would be my comment on that. I know our parade is a tradition. It's not easy to take on. The Elks were kind enough to step forward and put it on, and no one else was going to. So do appreciate that. So that would be my comment, and we'll go to the other council members for questions or comments by Mr. Favreau. Councilman Baker.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I am in total agreement with Councilmember McCoy's comments that we have, as the Finance Committee, been looking at different policies. And one of the things that I really liked that we saw with Discover Siskiyou when they brought forward their proposals for Golden City Days as well as Night of Lights, they did present a budget for us to take a look at. And I personally would just like to see a budget for this item. And before we make a decision on it. So that's where I'm coming from. Thank you.
Thank you, can you talk, Councilman Baker? Any other questions? Or
Did you say
Councilman
that
Baker,
they
or-
submitted a budget to you?
Oh, the
Golden City Days?
they did in our budget packets. I mean, in our packets when we approved those events, they included a budget with that.
Okay. Right.
No questions? Okay. Oops. All right.
Yes.
I'll open up to the public for public comment. I'll be scoot to the side, Mr. Fabro.
Del Mariachi. So as we had talked about this before in finance, I really feel like when we're giving a for-profit place, I understand the Elks Club does stuff for the community. They are still a for-profit. And I think we need to rein that in a little and definitely have a budget and definitely go by it, because this arbitrary, you're going to need to pay 900 or 9,000 or however much is absolutely wrong. We need to give the city manager his job, which is to say, you know, council says this and it's you got to pay this and that's the fee. Not just because you're a special club, you're all good. It doesn't work for me. It's for profit. And that's a no. You know, when it's not for profit and no one's making a money at all, Wairika flea market, farmers market, they're making money off of those vendors. And the vendors themselves are making money. And they should have paid. And they should pay from now on instead of letting us waive stuff. And yeah, we need to also access from now on the Minor Street Park. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay. I'll close public comment. And I guess just for clarification for myself, Mr. Fabro, is the Elks for a profit organization, or is it, I know it's kind of.
It's a nonprofit 501(c), not a 3C, 501(c). The only reason we're 8C is because we have a dining room and a bar. Otherwise, we would be 501(c).
Okay. And then
But we are definitely nonprofit.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that, because I was confused for a minute. All right. Okay. So I will go back to the city council.
I'll just make a comment
Okay.
that
Then
I know we need to do certain policies and procedures on this. This is not a new game for Mr. Fabro. He did this last year. We approved it last year for $7,500. This is an important event, so I get with the whole policy and procedure we wanted to implement, but I don't feel in this situation it's applicable, but just for the fact is we've already okayed this before, and he's not even asking for any more money than what he's asking for last year. So in regards to that, I feel in total support of this event, obviously, because I put it on for many, many, many years. And this is, you know, if anybody else wants to put it on or try to put it on, good luck, because it's not as easy as a task as it seems to be. That's for sure. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot of time that goes into it. So even though he's saying that there's $2,200 for expenditures, that does not include the man hours that goes into this. If he starts factoring in man hours, if everybody wants him to break it down for man hours, he'll probably be looking at probably $1 an hour or $2 an hour for the rest of the money that's getting spent
That's right.
on that. So
But we're looking at the breakdown of
I
where
get that.
our money is spent,
I get that.
not his hours, not
Nope.
not alcohol.
I get that. No, I get that. And like I said, if if the council wants a budget, well, I'm sure he can do a budget. But it's, man hours is not something we can put a price on in one sense, because it's just like I said, there's a lot of man hours that goes into this event. So I just wanted to make that comment.
All right. Yeah.
So I guess I'd like to ask you, is this a signature event you guys want to continue to see happen in this town? Like the Gold Rush days used to be, and which was now Golden Days, and some of the other activities? Is that a yes?
Well,
I mean, somebody's got to do this parade, right?
I'll go to, I'll go to council members. They want to answer yes or whatever. I wouldn't say when I'm sitting down here, is it about, when you say us, it was what we want. I would say what my constituents want. It's not about, what we want. I listen to my citizens and they want a holiday parade. So when I listen to my citizens on the street and then calling and emailing me, yes, they want the holiday parade.
Okay.
And yes, they wanted it back on Saturday after Thanksgiving, when away it's always been. So it's not about me. I do what's best for the community when I'm sitting here. And so when I think about that, I think about the, hundreds of people, that call or run into a daily basis that love taking their family to the holiday parade. So when you ask that question, I would, say it's what at least the citizens that I talk to want. So
good.
And then I'll if anybody else, council members, want to answer, I'll let them. He did pose the question.
Thank you, Mayor Middleton. The difference for me is that this organization is asking for a stipend of city funds. And I believe for me that if somebody is asking for a stipend, we have a responsibility to the citizens of Wairika to say, yes, we know where this money is going. This has nothing to do with the wonderful value that the parade adds to the city of Wairika. It's about being financially responsible. And that's where I'm coming from.
Oh, I get that. Totally get that. Thank you, Councilor Baker.
And we have to balance two things. It's not that we don't want it. It's not, we're happy that you're doing it. But again, we have to balance our responsibility with overseeing the budget and deciding who we're giving, this is not you, but who we're going to give $3,000 to, what organization, or $2,000 to, or $5,000 or whatever. And again, being able to say, oh, well, we can justify this amount of money that this particular organization is asking for because we can see the numbers right here.
Why wasn't that asked last year and the year before? I'm just curious.
Why wasn't it asked last year and year before? Because it's just come up in the last 8 or 9 months in regards to the fact that we are having so many people come to ask for money that is something that is something that should be going on in the office when you come in to apply for a parade. Shouldn't even be coming to us. We should, and so that's what we're working on. We're working on accountability because we don't feel there's been accountability.
Okay.
So, and I could probably take you back 20 to 30 years from just because I'm a flatlander, but just my 38, 39 years living here. And I could go back and say, I've seen where I feel the city has not been accountable when they've given money away. And I know you don't live within the city, but for those people that live within the city, Brian, I got people that talk to me every day and go, why'd you do this? Why'd you give money? Why didn't you use money here? And this doesn't have anything to do with the parade, but then we have to educate them on the fact that, well, we can only use water money for water projects. We can only use this money for this. We can use general fund for cops. We can use general fund for firemen. And so what we're trying to do is make it so that it's fairer to everybody that comes in and asks for. We have people that will come in and ask for $12,000 to $15,000 in closures in fees they want waived. We have to decide whether is it fair to the city? Is it fair to the taxpayers? Is it fair to the people that don't go?
Right.
I don't know, so that's why.
Okay.
That in answer to your question.
Yeah, that makes sense, really. It's a bookkeeping accountability thing, and if it's time for the city to be doing that, then I applaud that. That's not a problem. And if you guys need a laundry list of what the expenses are going to be, I can certainly provide that for you.
Well, I mean, again, typically when I worked in education and now in the city, and I'm only going to speak for myself, councilmen and councilwomen, but if I come to the city or if I went to my superintendent for something, they wanted a budget.
Yeah.
I had to give it to them, and they would, matter of fact, they would tell me, I don't even come talk to me until you got a
I've been
budget.
there. I've been there in my previous life. Believe
Oh,
me,
I
know all
sure you
about that
have, yeah.
accountability stuff.
So it's not that we don't want it. We do want it.
Okay.
We're happy. I am happy with what you did last year.
Good.
But we have some things that we are working out as a city and as a council. And just happens to be that it has to do with
Right.
what we're talking about.
That makes
today.
sense. Yeah.
So thank you, Frank.
So what would you like me to
Right.
do, guys? What's
Well, I
the
will-
sticky point here? What do we need to do?
Well, yeah. And since we did have a couple things, council members, or myself make statements, I just will open up real quick and then I'll go to the vote back to public comment real quick. Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Favreau. All right, Mr. Ledbetter.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted it's from listening to the conversation, it looks like that there's two different pathways here. One is to move forward and make the approval that's kind of written into the packet. Or the other one, just from what we're hearing here, is that there may be some tabling and a requirement of a budget to come back in the future. That sounds like the two different hypothetical motions that could be discussed.
Well, I'm gonna go to, I think. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back to public comment once you talk, because, okay, Mr. Davis. Okay, Mr. Davis. Oh. He was pointing like he wanted to say it. I mean, okay, now I have to go back to public comment. Okay. It was Councilman McCoy's fault.
Well, I thought you wanted to say something.
Would you stop?
Sorry.
Okay. Goodness sakes. All right. So the motion before you is the recommended possible city council action motion to direct the city manager to waive fees for a permissive business license and use of the city stage for the special. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm wrong one. Let's see here. I gotta go way. No, I had to go back up. That was on.
This is item
Okay.
10B.
Yeah,
and it
I went back up.
also, just to remind you folks, the planning manager did state that you'll need to add, if you do want to work with that motion, you'll just need to add the $7,500 stipend into the verbiage.
Okay, it's not in there.
So why can't we just do the motion and bring it back, Mr. Mayor? Do the motion of the waiving the fees of that, because that was what the initial thing was on this agenda. Do that and then bring it back for the $7,500 with the budget presented. I think that would satisfy all of the council if we did it that way.
Is that the motion you'd like to make, Councilman McKay?
I will make the motion to direct the city manager to waive fees for the approachment permit, permissive business license, and the use of the city stage for the special event known as the Wairika Holiday Parade, and to bring it back the other part of the $7,500 stipend with the budget in mind.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All right, with the amended the motion was for just as it reads, but to bring back for the $7,500 with submission of the budget and the money spent last year from the Elks Club on the parade from last year's event. Well, we haven't got there yet.
Just do
We're bringing
waiving
it back.
the fees. Just waiving the encroachment for fees, is all we're doing.
I think that they do us tremendous service. They do something, they take from us something that we don't want to do. Exactly. And they have a wonderful attitude about helping the city. And they put on a fantastic parade. And I think we should do exactly what that.
That's not in the motion.
I agree.
That's not in the motion, so.
Well, he can revoke his motion and if he wants to. Okay.
Yeah.
What's that?
Alternative motion.
Yeah.
Alternative motion, yeah. Okay. So I have the motion from a motion and a second from
It's from, the motion is
Yeah.
made from Keg and a
Okay.
second from Baker.
Baker to have Mr. Pablo bring back the $7,500, bring back the approval for $7,500. And then I have the motion from Councilman Baker to approve.
So we got the initial motion. I think we have to do roll call on that first.
Okay. So
Did we make an amendment to the motion?
Councilman Keg did. Yes.
Time, yeah.
Councilman Keg made
No.
an amendment to bring back.
I didn't.
To be
That's
clear,
not-
the motion is very clear.
Yep.
As Mr. Keg made the motion, it's to approve the permit and then to bring back at another time the $7,500. That's the motion on the table. Whatever's been presented in the materials is not the motion. The motion is as Councilmember Keg made it. Those two items, seconded by Councilmember Baker.
So what's the point of bringing it back?
For $7,500.
The rest of the council wants a budget.
I don't.
What's the point in bringing it back?
Yeah, wait. Paul.
Point of order, please.
The $7,500, that's part of the motion.
No.
You said bring it.
I think I could answer this question.
Including the $7,500 for half the budget.
No,
No, we're actually.
I'm gonna go to,
The next meeting or whatever meeting would be to bring it back with the $7,500 and we vote on that with the budget in hand also.
City's budget.
No, I'm sorry, clarification would be the Mr. Fabro's Elks budget.
All right.
I'll go to,
Amend the motion to include the $7,500. So we amend the motion to include the $7,500.
But you have to make a second motion.
That's what it's just done. He now needs a second.
So the first motion has died. Is that what- that's
No, the
all-
first
Yeah.
motion, Councilmember King's motion is still on the table. Councilmember Davis has presented a alternative motion. It's now gotten first. It now needs a second. If any council member seconds that motion, we would take Councilmember Davis's motion first and then the initial motion second.
That's according to Rosenberg's. That's not what I,
point of order.
that's,
Please wait to be called on,
oh, sorry.
everybody. Okay, I will second the motion from Councilman Davis to approve as written. I believe that, yeah, we need to move forward and have our committees get their act in order to like say what we're going to do and not do. It does not hold somebody on the spot when they get up here at the spur of the moment. I will second the motion from Councilman Davis as written. So Councilman Davis's motion goes first.
Can we read the motion, please?
You want him to read the motion?
I want the motion.
He read the motion.
Because I
I
don't-
seconded it as written.
Well, it's not written because
Wait,
it's
wait, wait.
$7,500.
He wants $7,500 in the motion. He's asking for that right now.
Isn't it right here in front of me?
No,
No, it's not. in the motion. It's not.
I'm sorry, it says
No.
7,500 stamp it to motion the special event known as Wairika Holiday Parade.
There's a
Parade will
bu-
take
there's a budget.
Saturday. Okay. Read the motion, Councilman Davis. Your motion, please. He-
Moved to amend. Include $7,500.
Okay, so.
So Mr. Favreau will bring back his budget.
Oh.
That's also going to receive the 75.
Okay.
Perfect. That's
Okay, so then his motion included Mr. Farrell coming back for the 7,500. We haven't specifically said we're dropping that. So do we need to
I
be,
will say I'm specific. I'm dropping that motion. There
you're
we go.
dropping the motion? Okay.
Dropping the motion. And now it's to include everything that Mr. Davis said.
Okay.
Is that clear? Clear as mud?
I guess I'm not now understanding,
We're going with Mr. Davis's motion.
It includes-
$7,500.
As I understood your motion initially, it was to approve
Mhm.
the permit and to
Give them this.
give
Yeah.
the Elks Club $7,500 tonight. Then as you further discussed it, there's something about a budget now being discussed with that. As I first understood your motion, it was everything would be done tonight, permit and $7,500 given. Is that the motion?
Yep.
Okay,
That's the
and
way I
that's
understood
received,
it.
that's received a second by the mayor.
Yes.
That's what's on the table.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Do roll call.
That's what I understood. Okay. Whew.
Yeah.
All right. I'll do roll call. Councilman Kaeg,
Aye.
Councilman Davis, Councilman Baker,
No.
Councilman McCoy,
No.
Council Middleton, aye. The motion passes 3-2. All right. Ooh, I need a drink of water after that.
It's a lot of words.
That was a lot.
Okay, so now we are at, remind me where we're at here, Mr. Ledbetter. I don't even know anymore. Okay, we are at D, we're at item D, correct? We jumped around a little bit. So we are, for everybody still with us, we're on 10D. This is a review and discussion of remaining 2024 regular city council meeting dates.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Wairika City Council, Jason Ledbetter, the city manager here. So there's been discussion, kind of one-on-one in passing with me and different council members. Just wanting to clarify what the rest of the council schedule looks like throughout the rest of this actual calendar year. And so we always look at and approve this going into the actual calendar year. So at the December 5, 2023 regular city council meeting, Resolution 2023-54 was adopted, approving the 2024 meeting calendar for the regular city council meetings. Individual council members have expressed interest in verifying the remaining dates or making modifications to the remaining dates. So the remaining dates for regularly scheduled City of Wairika City Council meetings are as follows: July 2 and 16, August 6 and 20, September 3 and 17, October 1 and 15, November 5 and 19, December 3 and 17. The remaining city holidays are July 4, September 2, November 11, November 28 and 29, December 24 and 25. So something to note, the general election is scheduled for November 5th, and we currently have a meeting scheduled on that day. So I would make the recommendation that you guys would cancel that meeting just because we're going to have some council member seats up, and it would probably be best that we're all kind of following the election at home rather than here. The Wairika City Council dates remaining with any proximity to a holiday are really, other than that, just the July 2 meeting, which is the same week as July 4th Independence Day. And so I'll leave it up for discussion, but the only recommendation really truly coming from the staff would be that the November 5th meeting be canceled. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ledbetter. Council Baker, you're ready to go. I heard you.
So, Mr. Ledbetter, I see here that we have a regular city council meeting scheduled the day after Labor Day, September 3rd. And so I would just like some input from you. Do you think that having a meeting after a long holiday, is that going to interrupt any of the agenda flow, putting an agenda together prior to that?
It does. It's a double-edged sword, as you're very well aware, considering your career as the county clerk, is that I can recall my first year here advocating that we cancel a meeting that was 7 months in advance, and then needing to call a special meeting that same week because we had things that were huge priorities. So I think that at the moment, this council has done a great job lining the staff out. The staff has a lot of work on our plates currently. And so the need for the city council meetings is probably not as necessary on the regular. Since we have them twice monthly, I think it would be appropriate that you guys could cancel a few of these meetings at the tail end of the last 6 months of this calendar year, just because we have a litany of work that we're currently already working on that's been approved by city council. So it would be totally appropriate. In a perfect world, you are correct. We would not have meetings the day after a holiday. It does make it much more complicated for our city clerk and just for preparation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman McCoy?
And this is aimed at all five of us and the city manager. I know when I first came on, the fair was a huge thing, and we usually did not meet the day that was closest to or within the fair. It's not something that I'm advocating for, because I only go to Senior Citizens Day anyway. But I just throw that out there in case anybody has grandkids that they're taking for kids. You guys are young enough to have, you have grandkids. You're young enough to have kids.
Thank you. And I do believe it's after our meetings that it kicks off, so it won't be.
It is the day of the festival.
What's that?
Oh, well, we can pop in for a minute if we don't have a closed session.
That's it.
All right. So I'm sorry, can you repeat? You said I'm November 5th, but do you remember we're scheduled for July 2nd, correct?
Yeah, so
it would be July 2nd and November 5th.
Yeah, so if I hear correctly, just inferring from my engagement with council members, it sounds like there might be interest in canceling September 3,
Yeah.
July 2, and November 5. Ultimately, knowing that we inevitably, have and can call special city council meetings as needed.
Correct. Okay. So
He'll be coming for the second.
so you're looking for direction, Mr. City Manager, on if the council wants to vote to cancel those dates, correct?
Yeah, so I would poll the council on individually which ones they think are appropriate, and then obviously public comment.
Okay. So I'll go to council members if they are in agreement to have the 3 meetings canceled July 2nd, September 3rd, and November 5th, or if you have an alternative recommendation. July 2nd,
July 2nd,
September 3rd, and November 5th. And
Works for me.
works. Councilman Kaeg, he says yes. Councilman Davis, are you okay? Councilman Baker?
I'm in agreement with that. And I would like to just also add that November 5th is election day. And I happen to know that the county clerk's office is always looking for poll workers.
A little plug there. Plug there for the people out there. Okay, Councilman McCoy?
I would go with the 5th and perhaps July 2nd. But I wouldn't be in agreement with all of them, so.
And I will be in agreement for all of them, July 2nd, September 3rd, and November 5th. of cancellation, Mr. Ledbetter. So, all right, so we'll go to public comment. Okay, no public comment. Okay. Mr. Ledbetter, I think the direction is 4 of us all are of agreement with all 3 dates.
Oh, if you guys can make a
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
motion.
Forgot that part. Okay, well, the wish of the council.
I will make the motion that we change the schedule of our city council meetings to modify the remaining City of Wairika City Council meeting dates with the cancellation of the following regularly scheduled city council meetings. That would be August 2nd,
July 2nd.
I'm sorry, July 2nd, thank you, 2024, September 3rd, 2024, and November 5th, 2024.
Correct.
I'll second it.
I have a motion from Councilman McCoy and a second from Councilman Cagle. I'll do roll call. Councilman Cagle?
Aye.
Councilman Davis? Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
And I'm Mayor Middleton. The motion passes 5-0. All right. Thank you, guys. Okay. Now, item number 11, city manager and staff report. City manager and staff may make brief announcements or reports at this time.
Yeah, very, very brief. And then we have the Public Works Director, followed by the Wairika Police Department Police Chief are going to give some staff reports this evening. I just wanted to point out that I did attend pretty much every event this weekend. I did not attend the sock hop, but I drove by just to visually see it in action. And I will say that I was very impressed with the car show by the Elks at Minor Street Park. It was just wonderful to see that park used. All the events were fabulous, but the 2 that stood out for me were both at the park. And it was just really wonderful because I walk past that park every day. It was wonderful to see hundreds of people running around. It was wonderful to see the concert in the park series back and to see children out running around and people having a positive experience in Minor Street Park. Really meant a lot to me personally. So that's really all I needed, or all I wanted to say. It was just a really fabulous weekend. If you were in the city of Wairika, I was able to walk down on Sunday and ate a ton of barbecue personally. So I had a wonderful time and it was just a great weekend. So it was really nice to see so many people engaging in the community and ultimately a number of people that are in this audience I got to see this weekend on multiple occasions as well. But without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Mr. Bray, who has a litany of different projects he just wants to make you guys aware of that we are currently working.
Thank you, Mr. Ledbetter. Mr. Bray.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Matthew Bray, Director of Public Works. I thought I'd share with you our current project list. As always, you can pop in on city manager and I, we can get you more detail at that. There's a lot here. I'm going to go through it as fast as I can. Be cognizant of your time. So first off, I'm going to start with the South Oregon paving project that was STIP funded for about $1 million. Just today, the contractor saw cut the Greenhorn Road. We got a temporary closure there. They're pouring a concrete valley gutter at the end of Kegler, which is right by Finwall's Automotive. Both of those valley gutters, once poured, so the next one, the Greenhorn will be poured tomorrow. We have to keep traffic off of them for 7 days. So those 2 roads are going to be closed down. We'll also be dropping the grinders down by Pfeiffer and starting to take the asphalt roadway out on South Oregon from Pfeiffer up to Greenhorn. Once that's paved back, we're going to flip the grinder and do the rest of it from Greenhorn Road up to Finwalls. We had an asphalt mix spec hang up. The batch plant that we planned on buying from doesn't make it. They're not batching that mix right now. So we had to go up north to grab it, and a slight pricing issue on that. We're going to have full resolution on that this week. The concrete island planter there by Finwalls is in and poured. All the ADA ramps are installed, and that's South Oregon STIP. We should be out of there in about 2 weeks if everything goes perfect. The wastewater collection system improvements job, which is to go back to what Mr. Ledbetter spoke to with Ms. Hogan's guidance over the last years she's been here. This is a $6.1 million state revolving fund loan. It's new mains that we're working on right now. It's a lot more than this, but we're in West Howard Street. We're in Third Street. We're up Stage Alley. We should get a crew back in this week to catch up on the pending concrete work and some of the asphalt paving from pothole locations. You'll see little weird square potholes all over town. That's us. We're fixing them. And then also include some sidewalk curb gutter repairs on Knapp Street. The theater roof and HVAC, 2 separate projects, as you're aware. The roof came in at 138,000. The HVAC came in at 634,000. We had a pre-con meeting today with the whole team, all the subcontractors. Cindy Lynch, who left already, she purchased the Train HVAC unit yesterday, so it's on the way. That's running full tilt. We're going to be a piecemealing kind of project as the subs can get in there and do it as parts come in. Still some supply chain issues, but it's gotten a lot better than the last time I talked to you. We were looking at 16 to 17 weeks to get the Train unit now instead of 12 months, as I last reported. So we are shooting for best case scenario, open it up in December of 24. Again, if in my world nothing goes right, so but we're shooting for December of 24 to get the keys back from the contractors and start running the theater again. The weed abatement all over town. Public Works is just finalizing, or we finalized our city properties that are over an acre that require a 40-foot buffer to be mowed all around them. That ties into our 1600 permit through Fish and Game. We just met with one of our engineering firms, PCE. They're sending up one of our biologists on Friday. She had to reschedule. She's supposed to be here Thursday. She'll be here Friday. Ben or I'll go out and walk around all over the projects on the Greenway. The resetting of the float-aside bridges, because that's under the permit too. That question was previously posed. And she'll get the nesting surveys done. And we're going to clear the dam face of all vegetation. And then we'll jump back down to the Greenway and do as much as we can down there underneath the 1600 permit, which is whatever's allowable. Then we've got the South Wairika water system upgrades, which is also another thanks to Retta. She helped us get through this and learn how to do all this over the years. It's state revolving funded. Currently in the planning grant, we received a $1.5 million planning grant. That's currently in the execution process. Those existing water system improvements, that's the Greenhorn job. We're reconnecting the 285 acre feet, which is about 81 million gallons worth of water as an emergency backup. We're putting in filters, pump station, a new raw water transmission mains, and yeah, so that in planning, once we get through planning, we send it back through to SRF for construction funding. So that'll be a year or so out. We also have a water supply and storage improvements. Again, state revolving funded. It's just a touch over $6 million in construction. $6 million of construction. We're currently in a planning grant phase that we received at $393,000. That's a lower humbug tank replacement, the Shasta Bell tanks replacement, installation, and hooking up the Davis well at the police department. There's a little bit of water main relocation to make that work. And so we're cranking on all the paperwork that happens behind the scenes that nobody sees on these projects until we get on the street or get in your way. The chip seal of 24 Measure C/RMRA funding, and we've prepped out the northwest quadrant of town for a new style chip seal, rubberized chip seal. Comes out of the truck hot, goes faster, and we don't have to prep as deeply as we do for standard chip seals. So we've got that prepped up. That is our plan A. My Cindy is cranking on the project specs and the bid documents on that. We're really pushing as if it's going to happen this fall, understanding that our timeline is extremely tight because we have the rest of these other projects going. But our plan A is to get some rubberized chip down in the fall up on the northwest quadrant of town. If not, we've already prepped out all of Oregon Street with crack seal. It's ready for standard chip. And then the crew's also prepped out all of 4th. So we'd go from Minor to Rose and then turn and go back down to Finwall and pull all the way back up through the high school. So that's our plan B as of right now. We usually put in all of our Measure Zero money plus our RMRA each year. So typically on average, we for chip seal, we get about $400,000 into PW for chip. And then I think this year we're around 186,000 from the RMRA, which funnels down from SB1 gas tax, comes back in. So we crank it all to one big pile and make all the streets black that we can. North Philippines on my list. It's been on my list for 12 years. We're weighing the possibilities now of laying a paving fabric down. It kind of looks like the weed block you put in your gardens, and you nail it down, and then we come through and do a double chip over it. City's never tried this. I'm only familiar with it with my father's engineering firm when we did a large job in Dunsmuir back in the 80s and 90s. Dad was the city engineer for all the other smaller cities. So I've seen it work. But we haven't tried it here at the city of Wairika. But I think Philippines a great test. But if we do get to that, it would take up a big chunk of that $580 some odd $1,000 RMRA Measure C chunk. So we wouldn't be in town proper. But I just wanted you all to know that, and I wanted the public to understand that we're not that blind. We're blind, but we're not that blind. Knapp Street, that's another STIP project, another state transportation improvement project. That's another no match thing. Ben and I dropped that one into programming, which means we go to the LTC and we add it to the list there. If the LTC approves it and we get it into program, it goes to the CTC, the California Transportation Commission. They take those projects and funnel them back through the LTCs. So we're in program. When we programmed Foothill, it took us 12 years to get it down. When we programmed like all the way through program, when we did South Oregon that we're doing right now, we had a 6-year lag. So it's getting better to get programmed through STIP. And it's starting to look better on the outside too, because we're really doing a lot more than anybody else in the county. And we purposefully stepped away from STIP funding for the last couple of years because we had pushed out this $1 million South Oregon project. And I personally didn't want to step on the other cities and the other directors because they had little projects that needed to go. So we've got it in there now it's going to be a sizable STIP project. If you can imagine from the bottom of Knapp to the top, that thing's double wide. It needs a lot of work. Flood hazard reduction on the Lennox parcel project. We have all the necessary environmental permits, the 401, the 404, and its own very own 1600 permit through Fish and Wildlife. That's the Division of Water Resources grant. Their manager is currently reviewing those plans, specifically the hydraulics of that. That's what Department of Water Resources really gets hung up on at this point of plans. But we do expect to be bid docs prepared, expecting everything resolved. And because it's only a dirt work job, it's bucket scrapers and cats and dozers. And I really hope to get that done by fall. Once we get in there and get going. So it's looking good. Wastewater treatment plant upgrades. I've spoken to you in the past. We're in planning and design. It would be SRF funded, which is currently the new projects are stalled in Sacramento with their budget prowess. But right now design, we're up to about $45 million in improvements to the wastewater plant. Being SRF, it's a no match. It's just bringing tax dollars back into our city, which I'm excited about. One of the largest projects we've done in decades. That's SCADA, which is full control of all the pumps and filters and computers that are on the wastewater treatment plant from when my guys are on Crescent City Beach for the weekend and an alarm goes off, they can fix it from there. From that all the way to the cables in the ground are bad and rotten and shortened to ground. It was built, I forget what year, early 70s, with zero upgrades, just maintenance to the pumps and the aerators and the filters by my operators down there. So this is a massive project. I'll be very excited when Sacramento gets it going again, and I'll be bringing it back to you to let you know where we are in that process. One we did finish, which I've talked to you already, but the East Lennox Street water line replacement and the wastewater treatment plant filter improvements. That was a 3-year-long project. We finished it up last fall. I just wanted to touch on that again, that we got the last filters online out at the Montague Egger at the top of 3 Mile Lane, the filter plant out there. And then the water manager, Roy Hathaway, went ahead and cranked it quietly one night, overnight, and we ran it up to 100%. Basically put the system on a dyno and floored it, if you're familiar with hot rods. And we were trying to blow up the motor, and it held. So we know we can run it at full tilt, which we never do. And we hadn't done that in decades. So that was just a great win. I had just some additional points. I'll just rip through them. We are fully staffed in Public Works, except for one water treatment division operator. We got the air curtain burner operational, and I'm working with the planning department and the local air resources board, all the fire chief, CAL FIRE We're working with all of them to get full exemptions for burn day from burn day, which is the point of the air burner. But with that, the planning department, Sarah and Ben and I are putting together the green waste program because we have the burn ban that Chief Lemus just laid down last week. So I wanted to get right on the tail of his burn ban and say, no, you can't burn, bring it to us and we'll burn it. So it'll be about a week. Sarah's been working on that press release for us. As we build this green waste program, we're going to start off with a Saturday free dump day. It'll always be free, the dump day. We're not charging. It's all paid for by a grant that CAL FIRE graciously gave us for the equipment. We got the burner, we got the excavator, we got a bobcat, the masticator head, and a forestry cab. So we're going to start hardening our city and helping our citizens harden their backyards with the CAL FIRE grant and burn it in a safe manner with fire trucks on site at our city yard. I'm super excited about that project. No more smoky backyard piles. We got a new truck for the water treatment department, which was budgeted in last year's budget. We got hung up on some computer chips like everyone else that wanted to Ford. We're heading it to Medford for the service body. We located and found and fixed another large leak in Greenhorn Road down by Main Street. We've deployed an electronic leak detection system on the distribution pipes that are in the street. So it's as simple as I have a guy that goes out every morning. He pops open the little valve pot, throws a magnet on it, goes to the next valve pot, drops a magnet on it, goes around and does his stuff all day in the parks or wherever, pulls them at the end of the day, dumps that data from the loggers into the computer, resets them, and then goes home for the night. So we're getting 2 drops a day. Those reports go back to Ben and PW on the maintenance and operations side for repairs, because these are leaks that we didn't know about until the computer found it. And those leak reports or generated reports also go back to Roy on the water treatment side, because we have to report monthly our unmetered losses to the state water board. And so Roy's extremely excited about it. Ben's excited about it. It's a great program to do. We've never done it continuously. We've used the system when we know there's a leak in the street. We want to dial down where it is because it hears it from each valve. But now we're on a full roll and it'll be running forever. So we hope to get those losses down more. Working with the county on our site over there with the pallet shelter. We're about 95% plans. They are waiting back to hear from the pallet company about some snow load specs. So I was working today with the building department, seeing if there was a way we could get around that 40-pound snow load, because they don't make these things for 40, they make them at 35. So speaking with community development director Lucchesi, there is a way, and it's just a simple written plan on how to remove the snow from the roof if it hits over this many feet. So I think we're good there. I'll know more next week. We installed new water service. We're working on the sewer service and installed a new electrical service to the schoolhouse on Ranch Lane that we received. It's never been ours. We're currently designing an ADA ramp for the rear entrance of that, because that's the only way to get an ADA ramp into the schoolhouse. Just on my desk, we're just designing it out. We're going to reconfigure the restrooms, and the cupola is in repair. They need a repair from pigeon damage because they got in there and it's a mess. I'm not going. I have younger men than I that can go up there to clean that up. And then general cleaning, maintenance, and my plan on this is it's additional reservable space. I've spoken with Gail in City Hall that takes all the folks when they have a little kid's birthday party. Where do we go if it rains? Intimate wedding space, things like that. It's a beautiful, I'd love to take you out there if we can onesie twosie it. I don't know who all's ever been in it. I've been here 15 years in the city. I've never set foot in it until it was donated to us. And I was blown away how good the bones are in this building. It's great. Through the water budget, we purchased a new side-by-side Polaris. The boys took it out and ran a large portion, not all, but a large portion. I think they got 5 or 6 miles inspected of the Fall Creek main, which is 24 miles long. They did find a number of leaks we had no idea about because we had no way to get out there, and some air valves that had broken and been kicked over by tractors and cows and all that. So they're headed back out again this Friday to start working on those leaks. Again, we're back to the state water board reporting of we have to have under a specific percentage of the water we make versus the water we bill. And those are the monthly reports that Manager Hathaway sends in. So we're just diving that down as far as we can. We stripe Minor Street. We will be laying thermoplastic striping over the paint that we just laid right before Golden City Days. That is the typical weekend that we do stripe Minor Street out. But last year I had the guys do it kind of as a test, gauge what everyone thought. I only had a handful of folks that thought it was gaudy. Going for it. We're going to lay thermoplastic down so we won't have to spray paint it every year. Maybe lay thermo every 4. We had a root control company come in and foam 7,000 feet of our worst 6-inch sewer mains, which kills all the roots in our sewer mains. This is still back to the original Riverwatch lawsuit that happened 10, 12 years ago now. I don't even remember how long ago that was. But we had, through that lawsuit, we went out and eventually, it took us a few years, we threw a camera down every single inch of all of our sewer mains. So we have that as a digital video file. I queried it with my engineering team and found the worst of root intrusion. And we foam fogged it 7,000 feet. So that was a great project. And we'll be back out there shoving our robot back up to make sure that it worked. The Siskiyou County Office of Education crew has been doing island maintenance. If you come down here at Lawrence in South Oregon, you'll see it's been weeded, it's been rebarked. They did Minor Street Park right before the car show weekend and all that. And I had a lot of folks actually out of all of this list, people were super excited about bark and the flower beds. So, and then they'll also be working on the dam weed removal. The boys went out and they backed the shoulder around Greenhorn Park on the trail where the 3/4 minus shoulders were backing, were falling away. That looks a lot better. We'll keep on that, but it looks a lot better. They're killing it up there with Sergeant Bucher. They're killing it. I can't say enough. Like every time I go up there, and the cleanup days are just so much easier for us now. I just wanted to throw another multiple thanks. Let him know. I told him the other day too, but it's just, I've got some aerial shots that he sent Ben and I the other day, and it's phenomenal what they've done. You can't quite see it from the road. It's water leak season. We're chasing those because of the higher flows. The last 3 days of May, we were pushing right at 3 million gallons of water a day into town. Middle of August, we go up to 6.5 million, but at 3 is a lot. Parks boys have been out chasing irrigation leaks everywhere still from winter. We're putting in a new drinking fountain at the arch that was just fixed up. We're putting in a sign there. Then we're going to put in another, we're going to buy 2 of these drinking fountains and put one down probably at Greenhorn also. We're going to fence the Juniper Road native protection area, 6,700 feet of fence. This was leftover money from a grant from the SGPGA to create the thing up there. They didn't know what to do with the money. I said, give it to us. We'll throw it in our coffers. Finance director started asking me, will you please get that out of my books because I'm getting audited on it. So I had Ben go out and buy all the fencing material. And then I went out and we're building a volunteer army to go build some T-post fencing. So we got rid of the money. Emily's happy. Ben has parts. I need to build the army. Traffic paint for crosswalks and stop bars. You'll see us out here for the next couple of weeks, finishing up the school zones while kids are out of school. So we like to shoot them. We're doing another 200 yards of ADA play bark in the playgrounds because we don't use rock anymore. It's that specific ADA stamped bark. We're doing 200 yards of that here in the next couple of weeks. We're still working on the gates at Greenhorn. We had some wires we need to dig in, and we've got a little busy with some other things. We're going to auctioning off our old loader, our older Bobcat, and old grader, 2 old Ford pickups, our old asphalt crack sealer, and 2 Ford Explorers from the PD. That's on our current auction list right now. Those will be headed out the door. And then we also picked up a new 2-post lift for the fleet division because the old lift was original to the building. The building was put in the 60s and my mechanics were getting nervous and our trucks have gotten bigger. And so I, with my fleet division, we got a hold of an inspector and had him come up and they said, yeah, you need to get rid of that thing. It's good for now. But so we ordered it. It's an exciting thing. We've been waiting for that. So PW is going to pour that pad and fleet when we get a couple meetings down the road, and if and when the uniform cost accounting passes, that's something we can do, and I don't have to put it to competitive bid. The boys can go pour a pad of concrete. I'm almost done, I swear. The west lawn at Greenhorn, when you pull into Upper Greenhorn, the west lawn, had this drawn up on my desk for years, but we're going to carve it into 4 reservable areas because we just went through the graduation weekend, and just like every year I've been here,
If you don't call this year for next year's graduation, you're not having a graduation party in the park. So we're gonna have that as set up as a reservable area, 4 spots along there, drastically needed, a lot like the schoolhouse. We're out of rentable space. People want to come to the park and we're booked. It's a busy summer. I'm done. So yeah, if you have questions like about any of this, feel free, hit me up, hit Jason, we can meet and discuss. But there's just, it's a lot. I feel like I let it get away from you all because we haven't been posting it out there and I haven't been in here regularly on these, but it's just a lot going all at once. And I wanted you to understand that the crews out there are killing it. Our contractors are killing it. And it's probably the most exciting time I've ever seen in Wairika when it comes to infrastructure. I'll get over to Chief.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it and everything you're doing. And I know the citizens appreciate it as well. Heard some good feedback regarding our parks and the condition they're in, and I'm happy they're being used. Chief Gilman.
Howdy, Mr. Mayor, council members. How you guys doing? So I don't have a list like he has because we don't know what we're doing until the call comes in. So, so I'm just doing a little preemptive. We're worried about fires in Wairika. I've been directed by the council and by the city manager to come up with a plan for the 4th of July. So I looked at stats from last year and I did about a 15-day window from the 1st to the 15th because people usually start early and late. I saw that we had 11 actual fireworks calls that were called in to us. We handled about 952 calls for service in that time, and 86 of those calls were police reports that we had to report. So it's a busy weekend for us. It's just shy of 70 calls a day with a couple reports mixed into every shift for every officer. But with that being said, the fireworks are important to us. We have a muni code that says nothing is allowed in Wairika, no safe and sane, no anything. So we've got 2 laws to deal with. We have the California laws for the illegal fireworks and fire laws. We also have a muni code law. The differences being, just enforcement. So if we do the muni code sections, the city manager has to do the hearing if people come to complain and the city attorney has to prosecute. So there could be some fees with that. But aside from that, as far as patrol goes, we're going to bring out more people. We're making fireworks, or we're making fire technically a high priority. With those 11 fireworks calls, we had 8 unrelated fire calls for the fire department that we assisted with. So it is going to be a busy week for us, and we're making fire the priority, especially what's going on in Southern California right now. So we'll have people out. We'll do everything we can to, at the very least, issue warnings and find the perpetrators. At best, we'll try and file charges on them or write citations if we can witness the crime in our presence. Really, I mean, it's all written down on there. It's pretty easy. I just wanted to let you know that we are going to take it seriously and we are going to have enforcement out there. Lieutenant Dirkson's going to make sure we have some extra people on with Sergeant Hasselmeyer doing the scheduling. So that's really all I have to report. Just let you know that we're on it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chief Gilman. All right. Okay, I will go to our council members. Who wants to jump in? Okay, Councilman McCoy.
I attended LTC, the Local Transportation Commission. The majority of the discussion was on bus routes and hub and spoke and things like that. But Matt, I will look for that to come across our desk, the money that you're talking about for LTC, and we'll advocate for it and push for it. So I want to thank PIC, Myers and Royal Electric. Those are the contractors right now on Main Street. Shea has just started up this week. They've done a great job with the sidewalks. They've done a great job with the underground electric, and they've done a great job with putting up the lights. And again, the only complaints I am getting from any businesses are a lack of communication from Caltrans themselves. They've just asked that they don't close like they did last year on July 4th, close major intersections and things. So, and I just tell them to call down to Caltrans. The grinders are taking out asphalt down where Minton Realty used to be. So I think we're on the way to starting the grinding of Main Street. I know they have to wait for all the sidewalks to be done. And the sidewalks, I'm told, are slowing down a little bit in the area where they're having to run more wiring for the new lights. That looks really wonderful. Anyway, I want to thank Jason for getting on with PP&L and getting Jill Harris there. I'm not sure why 1,000 customers were out of power in Wairika for 5 hours. And but I want an explanation from PP&L. I think probably you all want it too. And I had people calling me and texting me and I couldn't tell them. So but it's too long. I mean, maybe too many people were charging their electric cars or their electric Harleys. I'm not sure, but you know, and I want to say thank you to the council and the city for the fireworks ban, mainly because we've seen the Cod fire. We've seen the fire down in Gazelle. I think they're both small fires. I understand that. Another smaller fire in South County towards Weed, but we've seen much larger wildfires and brush fires in Southern California. And again, by Southern California, I'm talking about Redding South, because that's the true Southern California and we're the true Northern California. So I am very, very happy that PD and YFD will be working hard those nights, because we don't want to have another Alameda fire. We don't want people lose their homes or worse still, their lives. So I thank you for setting that up, Mr. City Manager. And then I'm going to ask Mr. City Manager Jason, if you might. I think we've been sitting almost 2 years on this council, the 5 of us, and I would like to go ahead and bring somebody in, a third party, to do code of conduct training. We don't need to worry about taking it through the attorney. We need to get somebody who does it, you know, like through the League of Cities. So, and I'm not trying to blindside you. You've done a great job, but I think after we've been on here 2 years, it's time for us to have code of conduct training. And I think I think the council has ignored it. The council, I say, not anybody else. The council has ignored it long enough, and it will be wonderful for us to have. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman McCoy. Councilman Kate.
Short and sweet. Had my NorCal continuing care meeting. There's a bunch of updates, which is always good, but there was, the Clerk tribe actually had, his name is Raymond Elliott, actually had a presentation on what he's doing on how to combat opioids. And he did a really good job. The Clerk tribe is actually getting really involved in a lot of things lately. This is one of them. They're really having an effort to combat the, like I said, opioid problems that we're having all over, and they're really getting involved in that. So we're really good on that. Rest of it, like I said, was just standard updates and stuff that we've been talking about, waiting for certain things to come about. Base camp, we're still waiting for that. Waiting for Crossroads, should be opening up here shortly, and pallet shelter update is moving on that too. They're getting the RFPs and out there for that too. So not much there. I did attend that's a lot of the activities this weekend, so that was a fun time, really fun time. I think everybody can agree that went to them. It turned out really good. Concert in the parks, it's awesome to see that. Plugging again. Only thing I could say one complaint about concert in the park was the bathroom situation. I had numerous people complaining about the bathroom situation, so I don't know what transpired there. We had one of the bathrooms, well, one on each end opened up, something transpired on the upper one. I don't know what happened there. But I was one of the people that got caught up in trying to get into the bathroom with a little 3-year-old that needed to go right away. So that's the only reason why I found out about the bathroom not being open, all 3 of the bathrooms being open on the upper section. So I didn't know if because I thought when we talked about porta potties. I don't know. Was that just for Gold Rush days, or excuse me, Golden City days? But that wasn't for the concert in the park. Or do you remember on that?
I would have to touch base with Discover Siskiyou, and I can do that and see if we can make some additions.
Yeah, because it was like, I had no reason why I say that. I also had numerous people complaining about that, not being able to go to the bathroom in a timely manner. So, but other than that, the events were awesome. Everything turned out really great, and I didn't hear anybody complaining about anything else. I mean, everything went smooth, and everybody had a good time. So I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Cake. Councilman Baker.
Oh, thank you. So it indeed was a great weekend for the city of Wairika. And the only criticism that I received was that it really wasn't a sock hop on Saturday night. I had a little young girl that had a poodle skirt on, and she was disappointed that she didn't get to rock around the clock. Anyway, no, it was a great weekend. Let me see, on June 5th, the mayor and I went along with the city manager. We went on a tour of Crossroads, and they're getting close to opening.
Yep.
And I had written down that July 10th is their open house. So I think that's going to be pretty cool to participate in. Let me see. On Saturday, instead of Golden City Days, I went on a tour and observed the spay neuter clinic that Per Angels puts on.
Yep.
And I was amazed at the work they do. They had 30 cats, and just volunteers, everything just runs so smoothly, but they definitely need some funding. Yeah, I was pretty impressed. And, cats are near and dear to my heart. I know you can call me an old cat lady. It's okay. But I had no idea the number of feral cats that are in the city of Wairika.
I mean, 60 by my house right now.
Yeah, it was crazy. So there were 30 that went through the clinic, and they're not only spayed or neutered, they also receive rabies shots and vaccinations. And if they have any medical issues, they take care of those too. So they are really expending a lot of funds. And I think their volunteers are just priceless. So that was really eye-opening to me. And then on Monday, the 17th, I was part of the Zoom meeting for the Wairika Pension Policy Plan kickoff. And that was fascinating to me. I had never had those unfunded liabilities explained in a way that I really could understand them. And so I was very impressed with that presentation. Very impressed. And I'm amazed at the planning that the city of Wairika has put into all of this. So that made me feel really good. And that's about it for me.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Baker. Councilman Davis.
I attended the.
Make sure you get closer to the so they can get you on record here.
Is that all right?
Yep.
All right. Golden City Days on Saturday and Sunday. Late in the afternoon on Saturday, I went down Minor Street and up Broadway a little bit and had dinner down by Confluence there, Minor Street and Broadway. I was really happy to see the amount of people that were out on the streets at 3 in the afternoon, 4 in the afternoon. Usually in the morning when it's cool, you see the folks, but there was really a good attendance of folks in the afternoon. And that's a really good sign. I think that in the future, there'll be more. The street vendors were wonderful. I enjoyed these folks' booth. It was a nice one. And along with several other people, they had just good stuff. It was just fun. And then on Sunday, I went to the pancake breakfast for the fire department. I think they made my pancakes off in a special spot, brought them out. They were doughy. No. But it was good. The sausage and eggs were good and the pancakes were good. We had a good time. Then I went up and watched the car show. And as Mr. Ledbetter said, it was very impressive. It was very impressive. Some really nice vehicles, some from when I was a kid and some from before. And some from after, of course. It was really good. And so I would say Golden City Days was a total success. So other than that, I have nothing else.
That's it. Okay. Thank you, Councilman Davis. All right. Oh, I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, but yes, I did attend most of the events this weekend. I did have to work on Sunday, so I did I did drive by though and saw the success of the how many cars there were. I was really impressed on the cars at the park. But I did attend the Golden City Days, and when I went, the weather was perfect, and I went just as they were opening, and just within a few minutes after opening, the streets were packed. So I was happy to see everybody out. The weather was perfect. Supporting the vendors, going into our merchants. I was happy to see that. Jason and I now, Mr. Lebetter, we take our meeting on a walk now, usually on Fridays, and we walk down the street. We talk, we have our meeting, we go to the farmer's market, check things out. And so that's our meeting on Fridays, which is nice to get out and support them and see how they're doing and seeing it grow. And I'm sure it's gonna be growing as they get produce and whatnot. And then I did go to the concert in the park for a little while. And it was nice first opening. So it was great to see the events back, see people back, and just seeing the social presence, especially after, COVID, and now seeing everybody back together and seeing these events being put on, whether it be in partnership with us or citizens stepping forward to bring these back, and the citizens taking on many of the events, like Mr. Harris doing his event as well, bringing this to our community. It's nice to see. One comment that I will make is a couple people came up to us and said that we don't have a July 4th event. No, we don't. And I was always telling them, that I would encourage everybody to support our neighboring cities if we don't have an event, or whether we have an event and they don't have an event, because many people, as you know, come from Montague or Mount Shasta or whatever cities and support our events here. I would encourage them to support their events as well. We're not in competition with our neighboring cities. We like to see them have events, and their citizens participate in many things that we offer here. And so it's not a competition. We're not jealous. So I did get some of those comments that we do support our neighboring towns and things they do bring that we may not have, or that we might have that they don't. So just want to make that comment about our cities. As Councilman Baker said, we did tour the Crossroads Project, a very nice facility. We're very impressed with just the knowledge of the operator and the contractor and the manager that will be on site there, that will be running it. And not only the housing is going to provide for many people, just the services that will be offered as well. So we did tour that. I will be speaking. They asked me to say something on behalf of the city regarding that project when they do have the opening. So I will be making a brief statement. I'll probably be hot that day, so I'll make it really brief. I appreciate everything that Chief Gilman brought to us with his report, and as well as Mr. Bray and Mr. Ledbetter, as well as what's going on in our city. It's very a great thing to see all the activities, the movements, the construction. I was by today and I saw that Pfeiffer Vacuum has started clearing the ground on the property they purchased from the city for their expansion to bring many jobs needed, additional jobs they will be adding on in the future. So that was nice to see. So there's a lot of things going on. We know there's a lot of construction, a lot of equipment, a lot of detours, a lot of quick left and rights, but we just got to pay attention and be grateful, and we'll be being very thankful when they're all done, because it's going to look beautiful. I can imagine with our new lights, our new sidewalks, our new streets, and yeah, it's going to be a busy summer. And with that, I will.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh,
Can I add just one thing?
you're taking up my space. You're done.
One thing I forgot.
Let me see. Okay, I'll give you up 30 seconds of my time.
That's all I was gonna say.
Just kidding.
Want everybody to know that the Greenhorn Grange is actually starting to go back into progress again. So if anybody wants to get involved in the Grange, you can contact me or whatever. I got all the information on that, but it's definitely be another valuable asset for the community. There used to be a lot of functions that went on at the Grange up there. And I'd like to see it going back in progress again. So if anybody wants to get involved, like I said, get a hold of me and I'll get you the contact to get involved. And they're gonna have another meeting. I have to look it up. I think it's July 11th, but I'll have to look that up to be exact. But they had a meeting previously that I did attend. And it was a small turnout because it was actually graduation day. So wasn't a good day to have a good meeting, to bring in a lot of people that want to be involved in the Grange. So anyways, with that in mind, like I said, anybody that wants to get involved, I'd encourage them because it was at one time a real valuable asset to the community, having the Grange involvement. And they do a lot of things for the community too. So thank you.
Great.
Appreciate that.
Okay, well, that's good to see them come back and get that revamped. So I was going to add something to that, but a good reminder from Mr. Bray is that during big events that reservations do take place in our parks. And so when people do show up and it's full and they have to go find somewhere else, but our parks are getting booked up. They're looking great. People are utilizing them. So that's just a reminder for our citizens that are listening or out here that if you are having a big event, to make sure you reserve a spot at the park to see if it's available, because sometimes this is not, you show up and get to use it because there are people who reserve it. And I did know that the is it the disc golf? Is that what they call it up there? Am I pronouncing it right? Okay. Forgot. I noticed they had their first tournament and I heard it was a very big success. I saw it posted online. So that is awesome. It brought in a lot of people from out of the area. And I saw they posted it was a great success. So I'm very happy for them. And that this council was council before, I can't remember when we approved it, but that we approved that course and that they are up there utilizing our park and bringing a lot of people into the area and into our park. So a lot of great things are happening in Wairika, and I'm happy to be a part of it and with you guys. And with that, I will wish everybody a good evening and thank you for coming. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Adjourned.
I forgot about the Grange. I'm like, I need to announce that.
I hope they do something.